إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. Now, the Fatiha is one of the main pillars of the Salah. We know that the Fatiha, recitation of the Fatiha, as we said, is a must when one is praying alone and one is praying behind an imam, and it's a sacred or silently recited Salah. So we established that, Alhamdulillah. And we mentioned what the scholars have said about that. And now the Fatiha. The Fatiha, Qira'atul Fatiha. What about if someone doesn't recite the Fatiha in the Salah in a proper way? What will happen is that person will make a lahan. A lahan. A lahan in Arabic means distortion or twist of the sounding of the words, that which leads to distortion of the meaning. Distortion of the meaning. It will change the meaning actually. Imam al-Nawawi, rahimahullah, if in his book, Kitabih al-Majmu', he says that if someone makes lahan, distorts the Fatiha, and we will inshallah mention examples of how one could distort or twist the sounding of the Fatiha. He says that if one does that, which actually has an effect on the meaning of the Fatiha. For example, he says, if someone says an'amtu bi-an dhamma ta'u an'amta, if he makes dhamma instead of fatha and says an'amtu, or kasriha, or that person makes it kasra instead of the ta being fatha, he recites as kasra, an'amti. Oh, likewise, kasru kaf iyaka. If someone then says iyaki instead of iyaka, iyaki na'bud, oh, yani, like that. Or, yani, what does he do? For example, iya'a, iya'aka, bihamzataini. Instead of one hamza, iya'aka, iya'aka, iya'aka na'budu. Lam tasihha qira'atahu wa salatahu. Imam al-Nawawi says, if someone sounds the Fatiha and distorts it to that extent of adding or exchanging the fatha of an amta with kasra and dhamma, an amtu and amti, or iyaki with kasra instead of fatha in iyaka, or hamzataini, two hamza instead of one, which is iya, says iyaka, and that he says that person who does that, lam tasihha qira'atahu wa salatahu. That person who deliberately does that, and he can do it well, that person should repeat the salah, should repeat the qira'ah, and should repeat the salah if he finished the salah, and should repeat the qira'ah if he didn't finish it yet. That is, if someone deliberately, intentionally does that. If someone didn't actually do it deliberately, what will happen? That person actually should repeat the Fatiha. But the problem is sometimes what happens, some people can't. Naturally, they have that sounding which is actually has نوع من العجم, not able, the inability or incapability to perform that is something which is they can't do it, and it will come inshallah, the ulama will mention. But let's see what Ibn Qudama says fil Mughni in his kitab. He says that person must read the Fatiha, recite the Fatiha, murattabatan mushaddada, يلزمه أن يأتي بقراءة الفاتحة مرتبة مشددة. Should do it in an order, in a way which is يعني orderly way, and also مشددة, the شدة, there are يعني the شدة in the Fatiha. For example, when we say إياك, إياك, not إياك, إياك, there is a shadda in it, and should actually observe all the shadda and all the tartib of the Fatiha, the order of the Fatiha. غير ملحون, he says, should not twist it and distort it and change it. If that changing leads to the change of the meaning of the Fatiha, then if that person, he says, ترك ترتيبها أو شدة منها, even one single shadda of the Fatiha, or the tartib, the order of the Fatiha, then that person has done lahan. For example, he says the same thing that Imam al-Nawawi has already mentioned. He says, if he says iyaki instead of iyaka, or yadummu ta an'amta, instead of an'amta he says an'amtu, which is wrong. Or he says يفتح ألف الوصل في إهدنا الصراط, إهدنا الصراط. If instead of saying إهدنا الصراط يفتح ألف الوصل, there is ألف الوصل or همزة الوصل and همزة القطع, as we know. So همزة الوصل here is that there is no gap in between إهدنا and الصراط. But if that